Investigates is following the 2021 case of a transgender woman wrongfully accused of driving under the influence. She lost her job and claims she was discriminated against. Now a settlement has been reached. And the fight continues for the 9th congressional district seat. Both candidates are in the Glass City, just days away from the election.
And you need to grab that jacket for the weekend. It is going to be a brisk and chilly night with those overnight lows dipping down to the mid-30s. I'll let you know how the weekend will fare, plus that election day forecast coming up. Kaylee.
Welcome into WTOL 11 News on Plus. I'm Kaylee Maritet. Thanks for joining us on this Friday night and first day of November. Let's take a look at your top stories. A Pennsylvania man is going to prison for stealing more than $600,000 from the Lucas County Auditor's Office. According to federal court records, Darren Barr, this man, was sentenced to 4 years and 9 months in prison. Barr created fake email accounts that looked like they belonged to different businesses and employees, then would request payments through the invoices to the auditor's office. Payment from the auditor's office would then be transferred to multiple bank accounts that were created by Barr. He would then wire transfer the money to different accounts linked across the state. Barr was convicted in July of conspiracy to commit wire fraud after accepting a plea deal. He was also ordered to pay restitution. Tonight, we're learning more about this morning's scare at 2 elementary schools. A spokesperson for Washington Local Schools says Shoreland Elementary School received an anonymous report from the Safer Ohio School state tip line. Washington Township Police say officers arrived just before 10 o'clock, along with Toledo Police and the school district's Department of Public Safety. They searched the building and surrounding areas. It was determined that there was no threat. According to the district, the initial call is believed to have been a swatting call. Police say they're trying to figure out where that call came from. And Northview Primary School in Findlay also went under lockdown shortly after 10 o'clock this morning. According to Findlay police, an unknown male caller told the Veterans Crisis Line that he was at the entrance of the school with a rifle. The school was notified and went into lockdown. Findlay police arrived and cleared the building. It was determined this call was a hoax and that there was no threat. 2 years ago, a transgender woman was fired from her job after getting a DUI. The problem is she was found not to have been under the influence. Bobby Schaefer will now get roughly $30,000 from Paulding Schools in a lawsuit settlement agreement. Schaefer was a bus driver for Paulding Local Schools and DoorDash driver when she was arrested by Defiance police for a DUI in 2021. Someone later admitted to falsely reporting to police that Schaefer was swerving because they didn't like that Schaefer is transgender. The Defiance police officer who conducted the stop never said she saw Schaefer do anything wrong herself. 4 months later, her blood alcohol test came back showing no drugs or alcohol in her system. But the damage was already done. She'd already been fired from both jobs.
The real case is the city of Defiance. It started with them, and they're the real culprit. There's things that they need to answer for, like why they never prosecuted the person who made the phone call.
The agreement still has to be executed by the school board at its November meeting. Schaefer's federal lawsuit against Defiance and the 2 police officers involved in the traffic stop will get underway next year. With only 4 days until Election Day, one race is top of mind for many in Ohio's 9th congressional district. Incumbent Congresswoman Marcy Kaptur and State Representative Derek Marin are vying for the congressional seat. Megan Hartnett breaks down the race.
Congresswoman Marcy Kaptur has been serving Northwest Ohio for close to 42 years. As the longest-serving woman in the history of Congress, she has worked on bringing federal investments to Northwest Ohio, including money to the Veterans Glass City Skyway and the 180th Fighter Wing. State Representative Derek Marin is serving his 4th term in the Ohio legislature, representing the 42nd District. State Representative Marin previously served as the mayor for Waterville. While serving, State Representative Marin has sponsored legislation to help children and spouses of military and law enforcement killed in the line of duty to access college tuition waivers. In her final message to voters, Congresswoman Kaptur says the right to vote is one of the most important things people have.
Your power is your vote. The vote is precious. People have died for our right to vote. And Americans have died around the world for the right of other people in societies that wanted to be democratic, for their right to vote.
Congresswoman Capter focused on health care today, saying it's important to protect the Affordable Care Act and keep the cost of medicine down. She spoke about House Speaker Mike Johnson, saying he wants to repeal the Affordable Care Act. She says State Representative Marin supports this. At State Representative Marin's event, when asked about the Affordable Care Act, he refused to answer.
You're not going to talk about the ACA?
I'm here today talking about defending the oil refineries here in Toledo.
State Representative Marin says his focus is on keeping America energy independent and bringing jobs to oil refineries in Lucas County. In his final message to voters, he says voters deserve someone who is going to be excited to work for them in D.C.
We need change. We need to stand up for the working men of this area. We need to put American citizens first before illegal immigrants. We've got to lower the cost of living, and we got to take on the political class. Okay, both parties have failed. We have to elect people that are going to put our country first.
Speaking of the election, there are plenty of items on the ballot besides the presidential race. Napoleon Schools is asking for a 5-year emergency levy that would give the district $2.3 million annually for district operations. The district hasn't had a new operating levy since 2013. If passed, it would cost owners of a $100,000 home about $165 a year.
This money will just for the operations of the district, just to keep the doors and lights on within the building. You know, we are in a people business. We have teachers, and 80% of our expenditures at school are in people. So when we have to make reductions in expenditures, that comes on the heels of people.
If the levy doesn't pass, the district plans to adopt a series of budget and department cuts. Turning tragedy into hope, parents of a college student who died from hazing are continuing to share his story. Former BGSU student Stone Foltz died 3 years ago. He was pledging a fraternity and died after forced excessive drinking. Since then, his parents, Corey and Sherry Foltz, have made it their mission to educate others about the dangers of hazing. It's a message meant for anyone who sees hazing to speak up.
You just don't want to be the person to walk away and think, I should have, or I could have, or I would have. So always stick with your friends, never leave anyone.
Today's event happened at Tiffin University. To learn more about the I Am Stone Foltz Foundation, you can find a link on our website. Well, get ready to turn back time as daylight saving time ends tomorrow night. Clocks will fall back 1 hour this Sunday at 2 a.m. Meteorologist John Birchfield breaks down what that means for sunrises and sunsets. John?
Yeah, Kaylee, there is a trade-off for both daylight saving time and standard time, and the time change this weekend means you do get an extra hour of sleep. As we fall back an hour Saturday night into Sunday, that also means darker evenings with sunset time falling back to 5:25 p.m. In exchange, there is going to be more daylight in the mornings. Perhaps those early risers who like to get outside or just want some light at the bus stop, you will have some more daylight in the mornings. Sunday sunset is at 5:25. However, the morning sunrise is at 7:09 a.m. So that is the bit of good news if you're looking forward to more light in the morning. So what if we kept standard time all year long? The sunsets wouldn't get quite as late in the summer, topping out at 8:12, but look how early the sun would rise during the summertime. What if we kept daylight saving time year round? Of course, those lighter evenings in the summertime, but also during the winter, it would stay a bit lighter during the evening. So there is a trade-off on both sides of the spectrum, but we will have darker winter evenings heading for the next couple of months before we start to spring forward in the spring season. I'm going to have your full forecast coming up in just a bit. Kaylee?
All right, thanks, John. And with daylight saving time happening this weekend, many people are asking about its significance. Many wondering if it could save them money on their energy bills. Let's verify.
The U.S. first adopted daylight saving time during World War I to save fuel that generates electricity. And as the nation gets ready to switch to standard time, we get a lot of questions about the point of the semi-annual clock change. According to the Department of Energy, daylight saving time was seen as a means to help reduce electricity use in buildings. So let's verify. Does daylight saving time significantly reduce electricity use? Our sources are the U.S. Department of Energy, the International Association for Energy Economics, the Congressional Research Service, the Uniform Time Act of 1966, and the National Bureau of Economic Research. DST ended nationwide in 1919 after the war, but began again during World War II. It ended again nationwide after the war, but many places kept using it, creating a patchwork of time zones. Eventually, in 1966, Congress passed the Uniform Time Act to standardize time within the zones that we have today. While the original intent was to save fuel during wartime, in 2006, after Congress extended DST by 2 months, the U.S. Department of Energy concluded, quote, total potential electricity savings benefits of extended daylight saving time are relatively small, unquote. However, that study only looked at March and October because those are the months that Congress added to DST. When researchers in Indiana looked at all 8 months of DST, they found it actually cost residents an additional $9 million a year in energy costs when the state started observing the time change in 2006. This was because while lighting use dropped, there was more demand for heating and cooling. So it's false that daylight saving time significantly reduces electricity use in the U.S. With your Verify, I'm Brandon Lewis. To receive daily fast facts to your phone, text Verify to 202-410-8808. And to sign up for our newsletter, visit verifythis.com/email.
Well, now that it's November and Halloween is over, I bet you're wondering what you should do with the pumpkins you carved. In Bowling Green, people can take them to the city's yard waste recycling drop-off area. That's located off of Tarragon Drive. Recycling is free. Just place the pumpkins in one of the 3 black dumpsters marked for yard waste. They will then be taken to Wood County's yard waste recycling area to be composted. Well, it's a staple Halloween tradition figuring out what Heidi Klum dressed up as for her infamous star-studded Halloween party. This year, her costume was out of this world. Klum arrived dressed as Mrs. E.T., complete with animatronic eyes and a blonde wig. Her husband was also dressed as E.T., the stubby alien from Steven Spielberg's 1982 masterpiece E.T., the Extraterrestrial. The model and TV personality told the Associated Press her costume has been in the works for a year. Well, imagine spending thousands of dollars for tickets to see your favorite superstar and then losing them from your account. It's happening to Taylor Swift fans in the final leg of her Eras concert tour. Scammers are hacking into Ticketmaster accounts and then selling them on other sites. Ticketmaster is working to restore the tickets after fans reached out to them.
Right now, we're averaging about 48 hours from the point of the fan reaching out to us actually restoring the tickets for them.
The thefts are targeting Swift fans especially hard. Now, Ticketmaster is limiting tickets transfers to 72 hours before Era Tour concerts and requiring 2-factor authentication to some transactions. John?
And you'll need to grab the jacket for the weekend. The first weekend in November, right on cue, featuring cooler weather. The cold front that brought us some Halloween rain and wind is now moving off towards the East Coast. But in the wake of that front, temperatures are falling down into the 40s. A few spots to the west of the Toledo Metro are turning brisk and chilly for those high school football games, with low temperatures expected to fall to the 30s overnight. The winds are also expected to calm in the wake of that front. Wind gusts now down to about 13 miles an hour, and the breeze will be considerably calmer, and that'll make for good leaf raking weather tomorrow. Temperatures expected to be in the mid-30s at daybreak. Afternoon highs really not warming up a ton. I'm expecting temperatures to be in the mid to upper 50s. It is going to be a bright, brilliant, and beautiful day with lots of sunshine, but the light jacket still needed with blue skies and a few fair weather clouds on deck for your Saturday. Don't forget about that fall back in hours daylight saving time ends. We talked a little bit about that earlier in the show and how that does mean darker evenings with the sunset time at 5:25 p.m., but you will in return get a little more daylight in the mornings. Weekend forecast, brilliant sunshine for your Saturday. Sunday could feature a couple isolated late day showers, but nothing widespread or heavy, and I do expect mainly dry weather for both of those weekend days. Let's break down those rain chances because they are going to be fairly scattered for the weekend. Sunday is expected to start off dry with a 30% chance